Hello, everyone. Depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. I'm so excited to welcome you to another exciting session of our Forex Mastery, which is technically based on weekly price action based technical analysis. As usual, in this episode, we are going to be focusing on four financial assets today, which are the USDJPY, GBPUSD, and XAUUSD, and of course the USOIL SPOT. Well, before I go into details, first of all, I would like to appreciate every single one of you who have deemed it fit to wait around till the minute lapse because I was trying to sort out some technical issues which came up earlier today, and I needed to ensure that this is sorted before the session so that we can have a better experience out here. And thank you very much for waiting, and let's move on to the business for today. So as usual, I have conducted a comprehensive price action based technical analysis on the instrument we are going to be monitoring for today. And in fact, for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten some update this morning on how we are going to be managing our positions or any trading ideas on these financial assets for today. And it's quite interesting that in the last 24 hours, except for the USOIL SPOT, which actually gained a huge traction during the course of yesterday's trading session, besides this one, the market has been a little bit choppy. And I understand the fact that majority are looking forward to this high impact event coming in from the United States. Remember, tomorrow is the interest rate decision, and of course Powell is going to be having a speech, and everyone is anticipating and looking forward to what the outcome is going to be like before making any informed trading decision. And this is the reason why we have been seeing the choppy situations in the market. And if you notice my commentaries in the last 24 hours, especially during our XAUUSD live session yesterday, I told us that we would need confirmation even after we see signals before jumping into any position, as it is very critical at this particular point in time, especially as we edge towards the Fed rate decision, and uncertainty and potential volatility around this time is always a peculiar scenario at this point in time. So we are going to be taking all this into consideration while we review the current market structure. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. And what we simply do here is to come together in anticipation of both the New York and London session in such a way that during this time we review and manage our current positions, while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for the day's trading sessions. So basically our review is on the 1 hour time frame, which of course is our execution time frame. So if you do want to have a background knowledge on how we got to the point or the structures you will be seeing on the 1 hour time frame, then I would implore that you watch my videos that I shared during the course of the weekend. We already prepared something for the week, and this session is just basically a follow-up detail to that video. So the link to the videos are right in the description box of this current video, so you might want to check them out after the session to understand how we were able to identify the key levels, the trend lines, the patterns that's led to us deciding to either buy or sell on any of the assets. So you are welcome once again, and I'm glad to have you around. So let's go right back into the business. So we are going to be going back into the charts using simple parameters such as key levels, trend lines, and of course chart patterns to gain valuable insight into the historical price movement of the financial instruments on our watch list. Now, before we kickstart the session, I would really appreciate a feedback as regards to the audio quality and the visuals on this on this session. So let me know in the comment section if the sound quality is good, if the visuals are good from your own end, as this will enable me to be able to do any necessary adjustment if it is required, that the setup isn't up top notch. So I really appreciate your feedbacks in the comment section, and thank you very much as you do so. So as usual, we are going to be going into the economic calendar. Of course, that's the first thing we always do in the morning when we are trying to plan for the day. We want to keep tabs with the fundamental factors in the market, as we all know that these factors manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and, of course, specific technical patterns. And the information we derive, that is the time the event is coming up, the consensus, the data, and the sentiment in the market will give us an idea on how we are going to be positioning ourselves in such a way that we can catch any potential move prior, during, and even after the event. So right here on the economic calendar, for today, July 25, Tuesday, when I look at the economic calendar, there were no high impact events from all of the economists on our watch list. So what I did instead was to scale my filter down a little bit to accommodate the medium impact event, which of course is one of the events that majority in the market will be looking forward to today, to give an insight into what to expect, especially on the US dollar. Now, the first medium impact event for today is the Housing Price Index, which is normally released by the Federal Housing Finance Agency. In fact, this is an important indicator, as the housing market is considered as a sensitive factor to the US economy. So generally speaking, anything a high reading is seen as bullish for the dollar, while a low reading is seen as negative for the dollar. And if you look at the data we have here, we have a 0.7%, which was the data that came in for the month of April. So we are looking forward to the data for the month of May. And consensus economics are projecting a 0.2%, which is not a very good sign, as we have a little drop from the previous data. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be like. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? Then the next one is the consumer confidence, which is released by the conference board, and it captures the level of confidence that individuals have in the economy. So it's like a survey that is used to gauge the consumer confidence in the economy. And a high reading, of course, is seen as something positive for the US dollar, while a low reading is seen as negative for the US dollar. So we don't really have any prior informations prior to these events today. Probably an hour or two before the event, we are going to be getting some data to gauge our expectations. So these are the impactful events that are likely going to be affecting price movement today. And of course, everyone in the market will be anticipating this event, which will of course reflect on the chart as price action. So with that being said, here we are going to be diving right into the business for today. I see your comment, Mansuru. Good morning to you. Glad to have you around. I didn't see you yesterday. Trust you are doing very well out there. So as usual, the first instrument on our watch list is going to be the USOIL SPOT. It has been quite an interesting 24 hours for us all here in this community on the USOIL SPOT, as we had two positions running after taking advantage of two buy positions at the breakout of the $77 level, and of course the $77.20 area. So I shared a commentary this morning as regards to how we are expected to manage our position on this commodity today, and let's run through my commentary on the USOIL SPOT this morning. And for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten an update in that regard. So this is how we have been managing the USOIL SPOT since the beginning of the week. We identified a range where price action was confined within initially, giving us a flat channel to work with for the week before we finally saw the breakout of both resistant levels to give us that buy position we are in. So this morning I shared a commentary here stating that the price of a barrel of US oil is currently just below the OPEC Plus target of $80 mark. We currently have two buy positions that are profitable as the price has been trading within a range for the past 14 hours. To confirm an uptrend continuation, we will be closely monitoring the breakout retest of the new resistance line at the $79 level. However, if the price breaks down and retests the $78.50 level, there is a possibility of witnessing a retracement of the previous impulse leg. Now let's go back into the chart and see what is really going on in the market since the beginning of the week. Now, looking at the structure we have here, you will see that the week initially started on an indecisive note. As you will see, price action initially was caught within a range, which we of course identified, and you know how we do it. Whenever we have this kind of flat channel, we of course want to be waiting for either a breakout or breakdown of that range to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. Now, with our stop orders placed at the resistance level here, and of course at this point, in fact, we saw the breakout retest of that one right there. We've been enjoying over 300 pips move prior to this live session that we are in now. And one thing we observed on this chart is that as soon as price got into that highest point for this week at the $79 area, a psychological level, considering the round figure of that price, we begin to see sell pressure resume around that area. And this led into a consolidation phase, which further highlights the level of indecision at that point. This lasted for about 14 hours, giving us an insight into the potential that majority in the market are not sure where price action is likely going to be going. And I said here in my commentary that whenever we have this kind of range, we either want to wait for a breakout to happen to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of that range that might likely incite a retracement of that impulse leg. And right now we have a breakdown of the $78.50 level. I do hope you moved your stop losses. For those who took advantage of this buy position, moving your stop loss at this point is very important. And personally, I have it somewhere right around that 78 zone there. You can place your stop loss around that area, giving enough room for price action to breed, and with the hopes that this breakdown here will turn out to be a false breakdown. But if it doesn't turn out to be a false breakdown, then we are likely going to be seeing a retracement of that impulsive move that started maybe on Friday, or I don't know if it's going to be this one right here, or is it going to be this one that started on Monday, that was yesterday. So it depends on how far this retracement phase go, that will determine when we are going to be buying. But of course, what we normally look out for when we have an impulsive move followed by price action trying to do some retracement, we normally use our Fibonacci retracement tool to capture the potential area where the retracement phase could culminate. And if we look at the structure closely, taking the impulsive move that started this week into consideration, we should be having something like this and aiming at an area between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg as an area to look out for the next buying opportunity. So I normally like to have my golden zone in yellow. Sorry, my golden zone, of course, in yellow. So we shall be labeling this one. We call it TP target for sellers. That is for those who are counter trend traders who love taking short-term trades. You might want to take advantage of the sell position, and you can have that area as your TP target zone. And then we can call this area a potential buy zone for those who are anticipating a buy position around here. So let's place this right inside the box. Beautiful. So that's the first retracement tool right there. Then I want to take the second impulsive move right here, into the structure so that we can have a wider range of so we have the 78.6 right here. So we have a wide range of possibility here, looking out for buying opportunity if price action would ever get into that area. So at this point in time, we will continue to monitor how price action reacts to the $78.50 level that is right here. So if we do have a breakdown, let me give a visual representation of what I'm talking about here. So if we have a breakdown of structure, price comes back to retest, this could be a beautiful sign for counter trend traders, those who feel comfortable taking counter trend opportunity with the hope of capitalizing on a minimum of 75 pips to a maximum of 200 pips on this one, where we shall be looking out for the next build up of bullish momentum at this point in time. So if you're a counter trend trader, you feel comfortable taking counter trend opportunities, then you want to be taking advantage of the breakdown retest of the $78.50 level. Now, mind you, you want to see price retest the structure before you want to be joining any bearish move to the downside. But for those like me who love taking long-term trades, then we will just wait patiently for price action to come within the zone here to look out for buying opportunities to join the uptrend continuation to the upside. Now, what are we going to be looking out for around the zone that will make us feel comfortable buying the USOIL SPOT? Well, what I'm going to be looking out for here are reversal patterns. It could be double bottom structure, something like this, to join the trend continuation to the upside, or it could even be a head and shoulder pattern, something like this, to look out for before joining the trend continuation to the upside. So these are the likely patterns that we are going to be looking out for around that area to be part of an uptrend continuation at this point. So let's keep this in mind, mark the zone out on your chart, and let's see how price action will play out for today. However, if this whole breakdown at the $78.50 level turns out to be a false breakdown, then we are likely going to be seeing this old range that we've been noticing here in the last 14 to 15 hours turn out to be an uptrend continuation pattern, which would of course come in the form of higher lows leading to the breakout of the $79 area, where we shall be looking out for more opportunities to maximize the potential of this bullish move. Now, there is a way we are going to be managing this position right here, managing this trade. Now, for those who have been profitable on the USOIL SPOT, that is, you took advantage of the buy position we took yesterday and currently running in profit, well, we can afford to leverage on the profit we had made so far this week to test waters around the $79 area by placing a buy stop order to capitalize on an uptrend continuation to the upside. Now, for those who are yet to buy or take advantage of a position, that means you are flat on the USOIL SPOT, as this will be your first position you will be taking, then I will suggest that you follow the technical expectations by waiting for the breakout to happen, then scale down to your lower time frame to look out for retest of structure, confirming that buyers are getting stronger around that area to join that bullish move to the upside. So that is how we are going to be managing this buy position around this area. If the 78.50 level breakdown turns out to be a false breakdown, then one thing about this whole structure is that prior to the breakout of the $79 level, there is a likelihood that we will begin to see signs of higher highs and higher lows, making us to have the privilege of capitalizing on that bullish move even before the breakout happens. But of course, I will be sharing updates if I see something new that we can capitalize on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. So these are my views here on the USOIL SPOT for today. The market sentiment is still looking very bullish. I'm of the opinion that if the breakdown of the $78.50 level persists, we are likely going to be seeing a retracement, which is of course a reflection of profit-taking activities, as those who bought the US oil at a very cheap price around this area probably are closing in some of their positions to take some profit off it. So let's see how it will play out in the next couple of hours, and trust me, I will be with you on both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. If you do have any questions regarding what I just explained, or you need me to do clarifications in any aspect you really do not understand, feel free to let me know in the comment section, as I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there's going to be any questions whatsoever before we move on to the next instrument. And you can as well take that time out to mark out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide trading decisions for today. See, Tonton 7945. I just hope I'm not murdering your name right there. Good morning to you, and glad to have you around. Thanks for checking in. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. So I will be moving into the next instrument on our watch list. So the next instrument on our watch list for this week so far is the GBPUSD, and in fact we have been noticing an indecisive phase in the market, as participants in the market are caught within a dilemma of knowing when to buy or when to sell at this particular point in time. Now, if we look at the structure and looking at what has been going on since the beginning of this week, remember that yesterday during our live session, we acknowledged the range where price was confined. That was between the 1.28700 level and, of course, the 1.28490 area. So this whole range happened prior to our live session yesterday. And during the live session, we observed the breakdown of the structure, which of course we took advantage of as price action moved about, how many pips was that? About 40 pips thereabout, before I told us all to move all stop losses to secure the position. And depending on where you had moved your stop loss to, you must have been taking out with a modest size of profit, or at a worst case scenario, break even at that point. Then I also acknowledged here yesterday the zone around the 1.282, which of course you would have noticed that since Friday, sellers have found it very difficult to break through this level. Now look at the 1.282 zone here. On Friday of last week's trading session, we saw how sellers found it difficult to break through that area. And in fact, since the beginning of this week, we have seen the same scenario happen, as buyers always come in to negate all potentials by the sellers to break through that structure. So this has been very, very persistent, and as a result of this, I was able to identify that area as a temporary demand zone. At least in the meantime, it's not really a strong demand zone at this point, because we are not yet sure. This market is still looking very, very bearish at this point, as we are still within a lower low, lower high sort of a thing in this market. Now, with this situation here, we have a temporary demand zone. So now the question going into today's trading session is, will this zone become a platform that will incite a bullish momentum in this particular market? Now, another thing I would like to call our attention to is our key level, which is situated at the 1.28400 area. And if you have been with us in this community for a while now, you will understand that the way we treat our key level, it serves as a yardstick to guide our trading activity. And when price action remains above our key level, we of course want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of buying. And with the way things are right now, price action sits just right above our key level. I'm triggering one buy position at that point, and if you are taking advantage of that one, well done to you for being on standby to have caught that move. Now, before we go into the details of what is going on here, let's run through my commentaries on the GBPUSD this morning. For those who are with me, you already have this commentary, but for those who are not on the public platforms, let's run this together so that we can all be on the same page. So this is how we have been managing the GBPUSD since the beginning of the week, and we saw here how that 1.282 level became a strong buying niche at some point. Now, this morning I shared here saying that yesterday's discuss zone had a 1.282 seems to be acting as a solid support for a bullish trend. As the price climbs above the week key level at the 1.284, we will be on the lookout for further buying opportunities. The only circumstance that would justify a sell is if the price breakdown reaches that demand zone. So let's dive right back into the live chart and see what I'm talking about here. So I will just zoom this in a little bit so that we can see things clearly at this point. So let's talk about the potentials of sellers first of all. Now, considering what has been going on here for the last 1 week, I think price has been very, very bearish, and you will see that since price action came into that zone along the 1.282, we have seen how sellers have found it difficult to find new lows. So despite the lower highs, we found out here that price is yet to find a lower low at this point. And the only condition that will make me want to be selling the GBPUSD today is for me to see price action slice through that demand zone. And of course, this will be a sign that all the buy positions here have been taken out, giving us a beautiful signal to join a bearish move. Now, remember what I said here yesterday, that we are not going to be jumping into conclusions. We are not going to be getting too excited having a sell stop order around that area. Not at all, as we will need confirmations here. The breakdown could turn out to be a false breakdown, of course. So we really need a significant confirmation that tells us that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above that demand zone. And the only way for us to find this is to scale down into our lower time frame, such as the 15 minutes, 10 minutes, or as low as your 5 minutes time frame, to look out for retest of structure which confirms that buyers are losing the momentum and sellers are gradually gaining that steam to push price to the downside. So if this does not happen, we are not going to be selling the GBPUSD today. So as long as price remains above this demand zone and the key level at the 1.284, of course, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of buying the GBPUSD. So like I said earlier, for those who are taking advantage of this opportunity, have the breakout of that structure, well done to you for being on standby to catch that move. So right now, what are we going to be doing to capitalize on this trend continuation? So one of the things I'm going to be looking at here, first of all, remember that we have an ascending trend line which we identified in the GBPUSD video, where we had an ascending trend line identified on the 4 hours time frame. So okay, I should have referred you to the video, but I would love us to look at things together here so that we can see how important the current juncture in the market is if we relate it with the higher time frame. Now let's go into the 4 hours time frame here, where I was able to identify a couple of ascending trend line, which of course has been supporting this bullish momentum in the last 3 to 4 weeks now. So we have this trend line, and this is what I emphasized here yesterday. We acknowledge that we are at a critical point in the market where the price action shares a confluence with both the key level for the week and the ascending trend line, making it a very, very important area where anything could actually happen. A breakdown here could incite a bearish move, and a reversal pattern like double bottom, head and shoulder pattern, or a continual rejection of that key level could incite a bullish move. So the question we had here while going into the new week was, will price action respect the ascending trend line one more time to incite a trend continuation, or are we going to be having a breakdown to incite a sell-off? Now, when we looked at this closely and we zoomed in right in here, you see that we have our key level at the 1.284, and price remains above that key level, making us feel comfortable in our buy position. So we are going to be looking out for more opportunities to buy as long as price action remains above both the 1.284 and of course the temporary demand zone we identified earlier. So let's scale back down into the 1 hour time frame. Now, for those who had missed out on this opportunity, well, we could still wait for more confirmations here where price could still come back, retest the structure. It could even come to retest the ascending trend line that we have. Then if we start seeing double bottom structures, reversal patterns, then we want to be part of an uptrend continuation. Then we also have a buy stop order above the 1.287. Remember, that is the highest point price action has been for this week. That's the zone where price action has been for this week. So we are going to be looking out for a breakout of that structure to capitalize on more buying opportunities in this particular market. So please remember here that we are not going to be selling unless a breakdown retest of that demand zone happen at this point. So we remain bullish on the GBPUSD. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds out to pause and see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument on our watch list. All right, I see your comment, Sintun27945. All right, I'm glad you are feeling fine. I saw a comment here from Paul Roth. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. You are asking for the Euro USD. Unfortunately, we do not have the Euro USD on our watch list for this week. But if I can finish before in the next 15 minutes, I will try and see if I can run through the Euro USD for you. I just hope you are around when that happens. So let me know in the comment section if you are still around, so I can take on the Euro USD after we end the instruments on our watch list. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're all on the same page. So we shall be moving right into the next instrument on our watch list for today. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is my favorite, which is the XAUUSD. And in fact, in the last 24 hours, we really have not getting an headway on where price action is likely going to go. In fact, we are in a sort of a limbo right now where price action is trying to balance itself out with structures and patterns that might potentially reveal where we are likely going to be going. Well, first of all, let's run through what really happened during our live session yesterday, what we saw here that made us wanted to either buy or sell. Now, if you look at the structure closely, during our live session yesterday, the initial structure we identified was a range which emphasized the level of indecision during the first 10 to 11 hours of the beginning of this week. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of range. We want to wait for a breakout or breakdown of that channel to give us an opportunity to either buy or sell. Now, with the situation here yesterday, we acknowledged the strong bullish momentum, and we saw how sellers have been struggling below the 1,960 and the 1,958 area to give us a clue that we might likely be seeing a bullish momentum going into the new week. And as a result of this, we positioned ourselves just right above the $1,962.50 level to capture that bullish move. And in fact, we rode that move all the way as price moved about 50 pips in our favor before this bearish momentum began. And you know how we do it in this community. When price action moves significantly well, we move our stop losses to secure position, and if you had done that correctly, you must have been taken out with a modest size of profit, or at a worst case scenario, break even. Now, during the New York session yesterday, we were monitoring this trade, remember, and I told us all here, I got a lot of DMs asking that should we start selling, when they noticed this impulsive bearish move to the downside. But I held on to that idea that we need our structures to mature before we can join any position. We already had a plan, and we want to stick to our plan and trade our plan. And one of our plans yesterday during the live session was that as long as price action remained above our key level at the 1,960 and around that 1,958, we'll continue to hold on to a bullish bias. And I also went further to emphasize how sellers have been struggling around that area. Look at what happened here on Friday last week. We saw what happened during the early hours of this week, and prior to the beginning of the New York session, we saw how buyers continue to negate all attempt by the sellers to break through that structure, giving us a clue that we are on a strong demand zone. And one caveat I said about this structure is that for us to consider selling the XAUUSD, I would want to see price action take out all the buy positions along the zone to give me a signal that sellers have come to stay. And remember, I said here that we are not going to be getting too excited, as we want to look out for the breakdown, then look out for a retest of structure to confirm that sellers are actually gaining that steam. And look at what we have here. Since the later part of yesterday's trading session till this morning, we saw, instead of price to come back and retest to push price to the downside, we saw price climb back to the upside. And what this simply tells us is that this is probably going to be a false breakdown. It's turning out to be a false breakdown right now, as we saw an engulfing bullish candle springing price out of that structure. But we are still not sure that this is going to be so we are going to remain very, very patient here to wait for significant structures to mature before we jump into any positions. Now, in addition to these levels we have here, I was able to identify a descending trend line, which of course is going to be one of the parameters we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. So this was revealed after connecting the series of lower highs since Thursday of last week's trading session. So what this simply means here is that if price action continues to trade below this descending trend line, we would have no other choice than to look out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of selling. Now, with the situation here, following this impulsive move back into the 1,962, as you will see, we have seen a consolidation phase between that 1,962 and the 1,962 and the 1,960, giving us a flat channel to work with for today. So now, will this turn out to be a trend continuation pattern where the breakout of both the 1,962 and the descending trend line will incite a buy position for us, or will price action reverse, where the breakdown retest of the 1,960 will incite a sell-off? So these are the scenarios we are going to be looking at today. So we need to be very, very patient here. So let's talk about the potentials of buyers and how we are going to position ourselves for any buying opportunity in this market. So to buy the XAUUSD this morning, I want to see price action break out of the $1,962.50 level. Now, in fact, if it does break out of the descending trend line, it will make the situation a little bit more better to get ready to buy the XAUUSD. So once we have the breakout happens, we scale down into our lower time frame, where I want to see signs that sellers are finding it difficult to respect that descending trend line one more time, and this would reflect on the chart as continued buy pressure around this area. It will come in the form of a double bottom structure to join an uptrend continuation. And if this happens, we want to have another buy stop order above the 1968 level to add more position to our existing trade, and let's see how far that momentum will go. So that is how we are going to be managing a buy position here. Now, to talk about selling the XAUUSD, I want to see price action drop back below our key level first of all. And remember that if price drops into that area, we are still within a very strong demand zone. And because of this, we need to be very, very careful around this area, as we need to see signs that sellers are coming in to stay in this market. And we could see something like continued selling pressure around this area, or lower highs or lower lows on a lower time frame, to give us an idea of that the fact that sellers are gradually dictating the pace around this area. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD for today. That's how I'm going to be looking out for selling opportunities below the 1960. I want to see patterns and structures like lower lows and lower highs to give me confidence of joining a bearish move, and I'm looking forward to a breakout retest of the 1962 to be part of a bullish move. So let's see where price action is going to be going, and of course I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. If you have any questions as regards to the setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the last instrument for today. So you can as well use that time to mark out those levels on your chart, as you will be needing them as reference point when you're about to make your independent decisions. All right, so I can see a bunch of comments right here. I see your comment, Richard Blackett. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Okay, I'm yet to see Power Out comment, so Power Out is no longer here. Sintu is asking, did you cover NASDAQ? I think we talked about this, Sintu. You can always check my NASDAQ analysis later in the day. 13 p.m. 13:00 UTC. Check on my YouTube channel. You will be seeing my NASDAQ analysis right there. And could I get a link to Discord, please? For now, Discord has been stopped. We are not doing transmission on Discord for now due to the low turnout. The demand is not that high. The last time we did, we only had a couple of presence there, which made us to stop the Discord. But if there is a demand for it again, we would of course reintroduce it. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page here, so we shall be moving right into the last instrument for today. So the last instrument on our watch list for today is of course the USDJPY, and in fact it has been a very indecisive phase in the market right now, as we have been noticing some selling pressure. In fact, we did sold the USDJPY yesterday. So let's run through what really happened in this market and what led to the idea of selling this instrument. So during the early hours of the week, we acknowledged that following this impulsive bullish move that we saw last week, which of course we were part of that trading opportunity, we saw how price action had failed within that range between the 142.00 level, that is the highest point price action has been in a while, and the 141.350. So this was the channel we identified during my USDJPY video. If you have not watched that video, please go and watch it so you can understand how we got to identify the structures on the lower time frame, and you can also use it as an educational guide to understanding the efficiency of price action in technical analysis. Now, during the live session yesterday, before the live session, we acknowledged that price action started the week on a strong bearish note. As you will see here, it's dropped into the 141.350, and we begin to see some consolidation phase happen around that area. And immediately we noticed this, I shared a setup on the 15 minutes time frame, which I said we are going to be using to capitalize on any potential move. So I will be sharing that with you in a moment. So this is the 15 minutes time frame, and this was what we saw prior to the New York session here. I think it was prior to the New York session yesterday, I think. Or is it during the live session? I guess we saw this during the live session yesterday, I guess. And we saw how price action was confined within the 141.560 and the 141.350. And we positioned ourselves like this. We had a buy stop order above that area. That is, if price breaks out, we want to be joining a bullish move. And if price breaks down, then we want to be joining a bearish move. And this was exactly what happened. We saw the breakdown of the 141.350, and we saw our price action moved over 49 pips in our favor before that bullish momentum began. And this morning I shared an update as regards to the current setup. For those who are with me on the TradingView and Telegram platform, you would have gotten this update. But for those who are not, let's run through this together and see what I said we are going to be doing to manage our positions for today. So that was the 15 minutes time frame I shared. Remember, I told us that we are going to be using this to guide trading activities. And okay, this morning, this is the setup this morning. So I said here that a new sell entry has been activated at the previous entry zone near the 141.350, as buyers were unable to surpass the 141.560 level, indicating the strength of sellers. It is essential to keep in mind that the descending trend line will be a crucial reference point to guide trading activities throughout today. Now let's go back into the live chat and deliberate on what I'm talking about here. So we are going to be going into the 1 hour time frame, and this is the 1 hour time frame here. Let me just zoom right into the current structure. And this is the newly identified descending trend line I was able to spot this morning after connecting the series of lower highs since last week, Friday, and we have a beautiful descending trend line. And I told us all that we have a sell position triggered, and currently price action is still trading around our entry zone, giving us a break-even situation here. Now, the question at this point in time is, will this bearish momentum continue to the downside? Of course, if we are going to be selling, we want to see that price still remains below that descending trend line for us to feel comfortable selling. But one thing that is of concern right now is the way price action has been finding higher lows since yesterday's trading session. Now, if we take a further look at the structure, bringing out our line chart, you would notice that we have an ascending trend line here, given after connecting the series of higher lows. So I want to give this a different color. So let's make it a blue color instead. And what we have here is quite interesting. So the way things are, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers at this point in time, because this higher low could be a platform. Whenever we see higher lows in the market, it's quite a sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum behind the scenes. And for me here, I would have waited, though I'm already in the position right now, we'll have waited for the breakdown to happen, then retest of structure before I can stand considering selling the USDJPY at this point. Now, if we do sell, remember we have an ascending trend line here, which is the major trend line. I want to extend this one a little bit further, and let's zoom out so that you can see things more clearly. So we have this ascending trend line figured out, and it has been guiding that bullish momentum since the second week of this month. So if we see the sell position running and it continues to drop to the downside, then as soon as it gets into this trend line, we want to be moving all stop losses to break even, secure the current sell position while we wait and see how the market is going to be reacting to that level to decide what our next line of action will be. Now, a further breakdown of that ascending trend line, of course, will welcome more selling opportunities. And if we extend this bearish trend line further to the downside, you will see that it also shares a confluence with that area. So a retest of the breakdown will welcome more selling opportunities. But if price action transitions into a reversal pattern instead around this area, like buying pressure, probably a head and shoulder pattern, then a breakout of the 141.350 could welcome buy positions here. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section. It might look a little bit confusing, but it is very, very simple. We will look out for, I will definitely give you updates in the comment section on all my public platforms. So we have to be very conscious around this area to see how the market will react to the structure. Now, buying the USDJPY here, that is, if price action does not continue to the downside and instead continues to find higher low here, I want to be looking out for buying opportunities above the 141.560. And in fact, if price action gets to that point, it would have broken out of this descending trend line, which will be a good sign that that trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate that bullish attempt. So if a breakout of this trend line happens, this will negate the idea of selling the USDJPY while we look out for buying opportunity simultaneously. So a breakout retest will definitely welcome buy positions in this particular market. Of course, I will be giving you updates on my TradingView and Telegram platforms to guide our trading activity for today. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. Very simple setup. Let's see how we can maximize the potential of any trading opportunity that comes up around this area. Now, one thing I would like to say here is that it could look a little bit tiring when we are caught up within a consolidation phase, choppy scenarios where price action does not know where it wants to go. And we all understand by now the reason why we are having this kind of situation in the market. We have a very high impact event coming up tomorrow, and of course, participants will not just want to throw money on the table, they would need important informations that will make them feel comfortable to open a position in whichever direction. And of course, we all understand that, and we are all also waiting in anticipation of that event. So for us to trade at this juncture in the market, we really need confirmations before we jump into any positions. And our confirmation always comes in the form of a retest of structure that was broken, scale down to your lower time frame, look out for confirmation that price action indeed wants to go in the direction of the breakout before joining any position. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. So we were able to talk about the USDJPY, the GBPUSD, the XAUUSD, and of course the USOIL SPOT for today. So let's see how the market will play out. And of course, I will definitely be with you in the comment section of all my public platforms to give you updates as at when due. And we are looking forward to the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which is coming up in 2 hours from now, 2 hours 15 minutes, I think. 15 minutes before the New York session begins. Let's monitor the XAUUSD together. I will be sharing the link on my TradingView on my Telegram platform an hour or 30 minutes into the live window. And if you are not subscribed to my channel already, please do subscribe so that whenever we come on live, you will be getting a notification letting you know that we are on live. So it has been a wonderful moment with you guys this morning. I really appreciate every single one of you. Mansuru, Sintuntu, Ruhat, unfortunately I didn't see you back again, so I want to assume they are not part of the session anymore. Richard Blackett, all of you, you have been awesome. And those who are behind the scenes, who are not commenting, just watching, I really do appreciate your support. If you have found this content helpful in making your independent trading decisions, I would greatly appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact, it helps the YouTube algorithm to push this video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content and material beneficial to them. Thank you in advance as you do so, and I look forward to seeing you right in the comment section as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.